All right, let's get real about the calendar. It is December 23rd, and that means the countdown to your ICSE boards is officially on. With that first exam hitting on February 17th, the pressure is definitely building. But what if you had a clear blueprint to tackle the entire math syllabus? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build right now, so you can walk into that exam hall feeling totally prepared. Okay, let's be honest. You look at a list of 25 chapters, and it's a lot. It feels overwhelming, and you might not even know where to begin. But don't worry, by the end of this, all of that chaos is going to turn into a clear, strategic game plan. You'll know exactly where to put your energy to get the most marks. First up, let's understand the rules of the game. The paper's worth 80 marks, and it's split into two equal sections. Now, Section A is compulsory. You have to answer everything. It tests your basic knowledge. But here's where it gets interesting. Section B is all about strategy. You only have to attempt 4 questions. That means you can really play to your strengths and focus on the topics you know best. So, here's our roadmap. We're going to break down the 4 big units one by one, from the practical commercial maths all the way to the more abstract geometry. And then we'll pull it all together into a solid preparation blueprint that'll get you ready for February. Okay, let's dive right in with Unit 1, Commercial Mathematics. Seriously, think of this as the math you'll probably use in real life. It's practical, the questions are pretty direct, and it is a fantastic place to start your prep. And you want to know the best part? It's a really small unit. We're just talking about 3 chapters. This is your chance to score some quick, easy wins and build up that confidence right from the start. So what's in here? You've got GST, which is all about tax calculations. Then there's banking, which focuses only on recurring deposits. And finally, shares and dividend. These chapters are all about following a method. You get the formula right, you get the marks. Simple as that. Just take a look at this formula for recurring deposits. I know, it looks a little complicated, but this type of question is pretty much guaranteed to show up. Once you figure out what P, N, and R stand for, you're literally just plugging in the numbers. And that's the whole idea of Unit 1. Master the formulas, and you've mastered the unit. All right, now for the absolute heart of the syllabus, Unit 2, the Algebra Core. This is, without a doubt, the biggest and most important unit. Why? Because algebra is the fundamental language of pretty much all of mathematics. If you want a high score, a strong foundation here is completely non-negotiable. And yeah, with 7 chapters, this unit is a heavyweight. You should expect algebra to be all over Section A and Section B of your paper, which means it needs to be a top priority in your study schedule. The topics in here cover a lot of ground. Everything from quadratic equations and progressions to something totally different like matrices. But they all have one thing in common. You need to be precise, step by step. Attention to detail is everything, because one tiny sign error can cost you the whole question. I can pretty much guarantee you will see a quadratic equation just like this one. You'll need to solve for x using the formula, and they'll probably ask you to round off to a certain number of significant figures. This is a classic skill you absolutely have to perfect. And then you have topics like matrices, which can feel like a totally different world. These problems usually ask you to do things like add or multiply them. Again, it's all about following a procedure, but you have got to be incredibly precise. All right, next on a list is Unit 3, Mastering Geometry. This is where math becomes way more visual and logical. So, if you're a visual learner, this unit could easily become your biggest strength. But you're going to have to brace yourselves because when it comes to the number of chapters, this is the largest unit by far. We're talking about a whopping 9 chapters. A very big chunk of your study time is probably going to be spent right here, and honestly, for good reason. Yeah, this unit is huge. You've got coordinate geometry with things like reflection and lines, and then there's a massive focus on circles. We're talking angles, properties, tangents, the whole shebang. On top of all that, you've got similarity and constructions. The real key here is to master the theorems for every single section. In geometry, theorems are absolutely everything. Memorizing classics like this tangent-secant theorem isn't just about passing. It's like your secret weapon for solving really complex circle problems in just a matter of seconds. And that brings us to our final stop, Unit 4, Applied Mathematics. This is where we take all those abstract ideas from algebra and geometry and actually apply them to measurements, data, and real-world problems. This unit wraps up our entire syllabus with the final 6 chapters, and they cover a really diverse set of practical applications. So, this unit really bundles together three different areas. You've got mensuration for calculating surface area and volume. Then you've got trigonometry for solving problems about height and distance. And finally, statistics and probability, where you'll be learning how to analyze and interpret data. A big part of the statistics section is all about graphical representation. You'll need to get really comfortable with drawing and interpreting histograms and ogives, and then using them to find things like the mean, median, and mode. It's a very visual and data-driven part of the syllabus. So we've taken the entire syllabus apart. Now for the most important question. How do we put it all together into a winning strategy? Especially when your final revision deadline is February 13th, and you've got 3 big revision exams to deal with before then. Okay, here's a timeline that could work. Today, you've got the blueprint. Now use January to attack the big units, algebra and geometry. Really dedicate this time to understanding the concepts and solving problems. Then, in early February, you switch gears. You master the smaller units, and, this is critical, you start solving past papers under timed conditions. Those 3 revision exams, don't stress about acing them. Use them as learning tools to find your weak spots. The goal is to peak by February 13th, which gives you a few days to breathe before your first board exam. So just think of it like a 4-step mission. Start with commercial maths to get a quick victory. Then dedicate the biggest chunk of your energy to mastering algebra and dominating geometry. And finally, round out your prep by excelling in applied mathematics. If you follow these steps, you will have covered every single corner of the syllabus. We have laid out the entire map for you. The path is clear, the structure is all defined, and the timeline is set. The only thing left to do now is to start. So the question is, with this blueprint in your hand, where are you going to lay the first brick?